3, 2, 1.
This week on Rabbit Hole Vibrations podcast, Steve and I explored the explosive story that 7 to 10 foot aliens had emerged from a portal inside the Bayside Mall in Miami and were shape-shifting and cloaking themselves as horrified shoppers ran for their lives. Was this a hoax, a rumor, or true alien encounters? Let's dive down the rabbit hole and see if we can figure out any of this. Steve, how are you tonight? You're not at the mall, are you?
I'm not. I'm great. And that was a really good intro. Nice job.
Thanks.
By the way, this is our 10th episode. You know that?
Hey, I did not.
Yeah. So this is number 10, you guys. As Chuck gave us, I'll just celebrate via Chuck with the clap. So maybe a little drum roll.
You love it.
But yeah, this is our 10th show. So for me anyway, with my other podcast, once I got to a certain point, it was definitely like I had it down. But the first 10 episodes, like, were all, they kind of followed a path. But I feel like every 10, I maybe made a couple tweaks. So who knows? Maybe Holly and I come back next week with nothing like big, but maybe we come back with an idea that we're going to tweak a little bit or something. Maybe not.
Well, next week I think we've pretty much been on the alien route for the first 10, and next week we're going to go off the alien route because I have something else we're going to talk about. So that'll be a little change.
There we go. So, and that is kind of, and I guess that's a good point too. While we're here early in the show, is that you guys don't think that this is just about Stephen Greer or aliens or UFOs or, I made a quick list, even though they're so far, you guys, we've covered, and maybe if we have a little time, we'll get into just going through some of the things we've done. We've already covered Dulce, government acknowledgement of UAPs, not UFOs, the eclipse, Mel's Hole, CERN, remote viewing, Bob Lazar, crop circles, and 2 parts of Stephen Greer. Or 2 episodes of Stephen, not 2 parts of Stephen Greer, but 2 episodes of Stephen.
All of the parts of Stephen Greer.
Now it's explicit. But yeah, I did. If you guys were here last week, or if you're listening on the replay, I did say, I remember as Holly and I were signing off, I really had no idea. I was kind of drawing a blank on this week. And then Holly asked me a couple days ago, what do you want to do? And it was weird because I had just seen a couple of these videos pop up again that I had not seen since around the New Year when it happened. But I saw a couple of those videos pop up. So I guess it was a sign, I don't know, about the Bayside Mall. And I thought this was maybe a good time to talk about that because I am not really 100% sure what I believe. We can go through what I know, what you know, what you've seen. But here's one thing for sure I can tell you. I don't believe that 4 days after the event, and then we'll backtrack into the event. I don't believe that 4 days after the event on January 5th, because the event happened on January 1st, everybody. I don't believe that on January 5th, every newspaper all of a sudden had this article from the police laughing out loud kind of thing. Because there's a lot of LOLs even in the titles. But those are on January 5th, 4 days later. And, we're kind of going a little backwards into this. But just to let you guys all know, if you're not familiar with this footage, since we're an audio podcast, to give you an idea, Bayside Mall sits right downtown Miami. It sits right on the main road there, and it's kind of an outdoor mall. Parts of it are anyway, and it's pretty big, and it's right there by the marina and by where you cross for the cruise ships and things like that. And every Miami-Dade police car in the world was down there. So as we get into this story, I just want you to understand that as we talk about this and we talk about police being there, do not picture in your head 5 to 10 cars. Picture 70 police cars. No joke.
The police said that there were 100 police officers and over 60 cars.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, do not picture that, because I guess my point is I don't believe, short of like massive gunfire, that ever happens, especially in Miami. Just saying.
There was gunfire reported, however, it came out
Yeah.
later that it was supposedly was fireworks.
Right. And it's the kids fighting and the entire mall runs out, but it's just these kids fighting, which is
Well,
another thing to me.
apparently
Yeah,
they say that the
let's first
fight.
run through this story so that people know. So on January 1st, in the mall, or it's like an outdoor mall, but there's in parts whatever. But in there, they saw, um, like Holly had mentioned in the intro, they saw something. I've seen different heights, but let's just say 10 feet, whatever, something taller than humans. And I've seen some videos too, but you can tell that they're just all doctored up, so I can't really tell. That's why, again, this is a confusing one, because they're like tall, black, lanky figures that appeared in the mall. And some of the video is way overdone. Like you can tell they've like just doctored the crap out of it. There's like a wormhole comes out and then goes away. It's like, okay, you did that yourself. But I do have to question why none of the video footage in the mall, nothing picks up any of this. And they don't even have the spot where it happened. There's no video footage from that spot. None. I got to call BS there.
Well,
Um,
people do
what? Go ahead.
ask, well, you have all these shoppers, why didn't anyone pull out their phone to film? And other people said, well, they were scared, running for our lives. We weren't concerned about pulling our phones out, blah, blah, blah. But I'm sure that there are security cameras there that would have caught something. But
Right. And there's no and there's four, or there's three or four security cameras that hit this focal point, and none of them have footage. None.
the thing is, there's no footage of the aliens, but there's also no footage of the fight that supposedly took place either.
Only outside, right? And
Okay.
even that is questionable, because when I see the pictures that they did present on the news, I see 15 kids. Again, I will go back to the point of I am very familiar with Miami, lived there for a short time, um, and I'm very familiar with it. And there's no way that more than two cop cars show up to an incident, more or less 10, more or less the entire Miami-Dade police force. I just don't buy
This,
that for 1 second.
this fight. I'm sorry, what? You were cutting out on me.
Well, no, I was going to say that I just do not buy for 1 second, knowing Miami like I do, that they would send every cop car over to there. Not a chance.
It did seem like complete overkill that there were that many officers there.
I mean, again, even when Holly says 60, I know that's a lot, guys, but you need to picture what 60 cop cars surrounding this place is. I mean, it's like 6, 7 cars deep. It's the whole,
Oh, yeah.
like, it's just, they're everywhere.
When they show that aerial view of that, you're like, wow, I've never seen anything like
Right.
that.
And that's my point right there. School shootings and stuff, they're lucky to get that kind of show. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
come on.
Well, and you've seen those. You've seen school shootings or shootings at malls, and I've never seen an outpouring like that.
No. No, and why, again, if it was just fighting and whatnot, and uh it wasn't anything other than just some kids fighting, why did everybody run out of the mall? I just have to say this. I don't buy that, because like the kids I saw fighting, that would not make me run out of a mall.
Right. Well, the report was that it was over 50 kids.
I still wouldn't run out of
I
a
don't know.
mall.
But right. Well, I think they were running, I'm guessing, because they heard what they thought were gunshots.
I mean, I don't know if you looked into this enough to know, but like, how everybody makes up a story. So makes it 10 times harder to tell who means what, because it's like, okay, well, we're going to say the police are like laughing out loud, but they're doing it on January 6th, 5 days later. They're like, oh, that wasn't aliens. Huh? That was just some kids screwing around. Really? Because again, I'm just not buying that many cops. Second of all, there was no report. I mean, there were some people who said gunshots, but some of the reports don't say anything about gunshots.
Right.
So not even that, and I mean, if they were smart, that's what they would have said. But also, we do have the people who have put up stuff that looks to be doctored for sure. Which, again, if it was a real conspiracy, that's what they would do, right? I would think
Right.
they would love the people who are putting up the complete fake stuff. Yeah, yeah, keep doing that. The doctored ones. But then, I mean, I don't know if you saw enough, but there were some stories about like, well, there was footage up, but it got taken down. This person's missing. The kind of stories that go along with this kind of stuff.
And some people were saying that their phones were taken by the police.
Right. Or that I was just reading from Chuck. There is an odd story from Texas 2 years ago.
What was that, Chuck?
Fake mass shooting.
Shooting. I don't remember hearing that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Where did that supposedly take place, Chuck?
Chuck wants to call in. Oh, guess not. Yeah, give us just a little bit, and if you've joined us before, you can call in. Just let us get through this part, at least the part that will drop as the podcast, because I do want to go a little further into this, because I'm literally wondering why, like, why can't the real story come in on this? You know what I mean? Like, this one seems like, a lot of times this is what we do on this podcast. We talk about things that, like, we can't prove one way or the other. It's just opinion. But with this one, I feel like, man, the police should have a much better story on why every officer on duty on New Year's Day was at the mall.
And if this fight supposedly happens every year, and they knew that this was going to happen, why wasn't there police presence there before? Right, before the fight broke out.
100%. I mean, it just makes me think that this is, I mean, look, if this fight is real and it's like some high school brawl, still, what do you station there? One cop car? One. And I'm not kidding. In Miami, they're not going to station more than that. Maybe at most two.
Well,
I'm just saying they're not going to waste a lot of cops' times to see it, because if a cop presence was there and they knew about these fights, my guess is the fight doesn't even start. If that's why you put the cop presence there.
Right.
Like the cops, I mean, they don't want to go in and throw a bunch of kids around, but they'll pepper spray. So, I mean, why would you want to start this fight that's yearly if there's cops standing right there that are going to pepper spray you?
And if it's a known thing that it's yearly, why would anybody even be there shopping? Which the mall closed at 8:00.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not buying any of it, but there's something that needs to be looked at here, because it happened. Like, something happened that was way out of control. That's how I see it. I mean, was it aliens? I don't.
The only way we're going to know the truth.
Fight? No.
Say that again.
I was going to say, was it aliens? I don't know. Was it a high school fight? I can honestly say I 100% believe no.
Well, or a gang fight. I mean, there's a high school fight, but if it was a gang war, that could be obviously a lot more serious than a high school fight.
A gang war that's planned on the 1st of every year?
Who knows?
I do. Gangs don't plan things.
I mean,
hey, man, let's go hang out at the mall and beat each other up. Like, they just shoot each other in the face.
That's true.
So my point is, like, that's why I took it as high school. And plus, from the pictures, it looks high school. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't know if you saw the picture of the brawl, but it just looks like a bunch of high school kids.
I did not. But the kids in high school are probably in gangs.
Yeah. Well, but again, they look like you could just pepper spray them all to the ground and laugh at them, though.
Right. Which, yeah, you would think that's exactly what they could have done.
Yeah. I mean, and if they do, again, like you said, if they know about it every year, don't even for a minute tell me you didn't have one. Like, we're debating how many you'd leave, but if you know about it every year, you absolutely we can without a doubt say that you would have 1, 2, 3 cops there.
At least.
I mean, if you know every year this happens, of course you're going to have police there. What are you talking about? Like, that's why I'm saying this. It makes no sense.
somebody said, well, there were undercover police there. Well, no, that you wouldn't have undercover police there because you want them to know you're there. That's the point. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's like, why would there be
Right.
undercover? What's undercover going to
You would want a police presence. You'd want them in uniform standing right in the mall.
do? Mm-hmm.
Hey, Carnal Nature, how are you? Haven't seen you in a couple of weeks, but we're still here. We're still picking away. We're trying to figure this thing out today because does anybody in the chat anyway? Does anybody believe that 70 police cars show up out of nowhere on New Year's Day at Bayside Mall in Miami because some kids are punking around? So,
Chuck said, definitely not.
yeah, we got Carnal Nature with a no. We got a definitely not. See, I'm telling you, that just doesn't happen. I'm not saying that it's aliens. I'm not saying what it is. I don't know. But I am saying that their story does not work for me.
Does anyone else out there have a theory on what they think?
Yeah,
Maybe.
do you think it was the aliens? Because I've also seen the people who say that if you take the coordinates backwards, you end up in Antarctica at this base. But then I saw this woman break it down where it's not at this base that everybody was saying. She's like, well, here's the actual coordinates and look. And she actually took it over there and she's like, I don't know what it means because it was still Antarctica, but she's like, but it's not where everybody said. And it doesn't make sense. I don't know. Had you seen that? Had you seen if you just reversed all the coordinates?
I did not see that.
So if you reversed the longitude and latitude, like exact polar opposites, it
Where did
was
you
like
find that?
it was like some people were saying it was a base in Antarctica.
Do you
So
remember where you saw that information?
it was kind of everywhere. To be
Oh,
honest, I mean, like the coordinates of Florida probably would be about Antarctica anyway, though backwards. But I mean, like a lot of things would be Antarctica backwards, so it's pretty big.
yeah,
So I mean, I don't know, I'm just saying, like I mean, like, okay, so it's Antarctica, that's the kind of stuff where you got to get a little weirded out because you're like, well, wait, I mean, all that takes is somebody looking at a globe and going, wait, look, if you look from here to here, the polar opposite's Antarctica. Okay, well, don't make
okay.
a story out of that.
Well, let's say that people there actually did think there were aliens there. Then the next question would be, were there actual aliens there, or was it someone creating the aliens there with holograms or something?
See, now you're entering my space a little bit, and there's no way that could happen.
Why?
There's no way that, because the moving and stuff, there's no way that you could do that kind of presentation in a mall with that many people. And also, who's doing this? The mall is a show, because there's no way kids, like, are you talking about that kind of thing? Like, this would take extreme planning on a
No, I'm
production
talking
crew.
about somebody who's very tech savvy and could pull that off.
You would still need extreme planning, and you would still need a production team that's going to install all this. How are they going to get into the mall without the mall knowing?
Would they have to?
Do you see what I'm saying?
I don't know.
Like, I mean,
I'm not tech
you
savvy enough
basically
to know.
couldn't take any of that kind of equipment into the mall and install it on beams and stuff like that. And that would have got debunked really quick, because they'd have been like, look at these projections up here and here and here.
Well,
You
I
know what I
did
mean?
know that on some of the YouTube videos I watched, they were talking about, oh, well, there's plugs here, there's plugs there. So they were thinking someone plugged something in for something. So that's.
Yeah. I'm just saying that, I mean, what, they plugged it in, nobody saw it, presented that to a point that scared every single person out of the mall, and
Yeah,
then
I know.
ran it out and under their under their arm.
Carnal Nature says there are some theories going around that there are aliens or ancestor races living under the oceans that we have failed to explore. Living under the oceans.
Right.
Are you aware of that, Steve?
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, that's kind of been, actually, I mean, that's been around for a while, but I think I see where he's coming from too. There's been some talk of that recently too, about the deep, deep ocean and how, I mean, there was that fish recently, or that shark, or whatever the heck it was, oversized, gigantic tuna the size of Iowa or something. Did you see that thing?
No,
they're
no, I
like,
did see the
they're like, what does
UAP
this mean?
though.
So,
There was that UAP they were calling the jellyfish because it was flying, in the air, and then it went down into the ocean and was under the water for 17 minutes, and then came back up and just zoomed off, just like regular UAPs zoom off.
yeah,
So
and
they're calling that,
no,
and, that,
no,
and that's
this was
true. I
an
mean,
actual fish.
oh yeah, but no, this is, but
And they're like, "What? Where'd this come from?" It's like they're claiming that it's the deep, deep sea. Maybe. Um, I'm trying to read Carnal Nature's thing here, but I don't know, my glasses in. I almost called them my gats.
but
My
also they
gats.
have determined that there is more water below the mantle than there is on the surface in our oceans and seas. Well, that might be something that we have to explore as well.
So you're talking about more towards the Earth's core,
I think he's talking about like below the ocean floor.
right? Which would be more, yeah, more towards the Earth's core, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So therefore, what? Is there any? Where's the lava coming from? you know, I mean, I know that the Big Island in Hawaii just started erupting a little bit again.
I don't know.
You know, I mean, I guess at some point you have some molten lava there too, but why can't people just be straight with us?
Yeah. The fact of the matter is, we're never going to know because even the people that were there, people are going to come out with different stories, and you can't trust that people don't lie. So unless somebody gets hooked up to a lie detector test and passes and tells us what really happened, that's pretty much the only way we're going to know.
Well, I mean, again, I am going to stand by the fact I do not for a second believe the police stories. Not for 1 second. You see what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know if you believe that too, but I don't for 1 second believe that, because again, if anybody has seen it, I'm guessing that Shaw, Colonel Nature, and any Mandy, and GKR and Muppek. Sorry guys, I am just trashing names tonight. But you guys have interesting names too, so I'm doing my best. So G, and I'm going to call you G and Mew. The pressure and friction, along with the electric universe concept, lends some credence to an expanding Earth. Okay, but I still want to know what happened at the mall. I'm gonna say that I honestly don't believe that 70 police cars, or what Holly said, 60, whatever. Um, I mean, to me, that's like on a New Year's Day. That is, I mean, what? There's maybe 100 cars on the road for Miami Dade, and then you got the sheriffs and whatever too. I
Right.
mean, you're talking about over half of the police force being at Bayside Mall. I just don't buy that. Not at all. That's like a all cars on duty come to Bayside. You know how many crimes go on in Miami?
Right. And they say that some of the stores were vandalized and windows were broken and all that. But again, no footage of
No,
any of
yeah,
that.
where's all right? Exactly. See, to me, this is the kind of thing where, no matter what did happen, where is the footage? like,
Right.
I mean, like every other day of the year, hey, Bayside, can I see the footage of the security cam?
Well,
Sure.
and you have 100 cops that all have cameras on their chest,
Hmm.
right? I mean, hello,
Well, but they
there's got to
weren't
be
there. But they
something.
weren't there until after.
But even at that point, some things were still happening, apparently.
Right, but I don't think it was. I mean, their claim, but they're the ones
Whether,
getting out in front of that and saying, "No, no."
but whether they saw a fight and they saw some kids getting into a big fight, or whether they saw a 10-foot alien, something would have to be on their camera.
I don't know what FOIA is. I'm guessing it's explicit since he put that shit after it. Or was it supposed to be FUCK?
Freedom of Information Act.
Okay. Wait, so what would that have to do with what? Because I mean, the Freedom of Information Act, the police are saying, oh, laughing out loud, there was no aliens. That was some kids
Right.
fighting. Really?
So he's saying the Freedom of Information Act, we ought to be able to get all of that footage off of the cameras and all that stuff. The body
Right, but again, but they're not claiming, hey, we're not showing you the footage. They're claiming the footage is gone. It was erased. I don't know.
Well, it wasn't erased a couple days later. They should have had it. I mean, that stuff.
I mean, that's police 101. Walk in there and get the footage right away.
Right. Yeah. How convenient. You're exactly right.
Yeah, exactly. Right, and then Chuck intentionally deleted. Exactly.
Well, and I also heard the theory that this was a distraction because apparently that day was the day that Epstein's list was coming out that was going to implicate all of these important people in his little sex ring that he had going on that island. And so they were trying to kind of get the attention off of that because so many important people were going to be on that list.
How does that help? Hey,
Because
let's have a alien thing at the mall in Miami, which has nothing to do with Epstein Island.
Right. Because people are talking about that instead of him.
Right, but you knew it was going to go right back to him.
Right.
He wasn't going to. I mean, you could have 50 cops shot in the face at Miami Mall, and the next day we're going to be talking about Epstein again.
Well, I'm just telling you that was just a theory out there that I heard. So,
right. Yeah. I mean, and that's what we're trying to do is explore those here. It's maddening to me that I feel like here's what I will say. I feel like a lot of people do know what happened.
I'm sure.
I mean, like for real. And I feel like their voice is not being heard. I feel like they've been muted. They've been silenced, whatever. And I don't understand how that many people got silenced because usually, like you said, people will pull out their phones. And that's what I was kind of saying. It's not like the day, remember, maybe I'm going to date myself here because it's even before my time, but I happen to remember this. Remember in the preview for the movie The Blob, how they show all the people running out of the theater like crazy?
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't live in that time. You know what I mean? Like people don't go, oh my God, and like wave their hands in the air and run out the place. Like there are people who would have made sure that the store owners and other people were getting out first. I know this because I would have.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Other
like
people
I wouldn't have been running out, pushing old ladies down and get out of my way. So there had to be some people there. And at some point, like I can tell you here in Denver, if something like that went down, there's no way that 100, 200 people that were in the area, every one of them would be like, I don't know. I didn't shoot video on my phone. There's no way.
Yeah,
There'd be
somebody
live
that would
streams.
have stopped and not been afraid and pulled their phone out. Somebody.
Yeah. 100%.
Not everybody would panic. So, but yeah, the broadcast of War of the Worlds, that's very true too. I mean, you can definitely cause panic with.
Thank you, Mandy, for the beer. Thank you, Chuck, for the 2 claps, and thank you, Carnal Nature, for the, I don't know what that is, a golden fish. Microphone. I don't have my eyes in, or as I was calling them before, my gats, which I don't even know.
Chuck points out that there were videos when they had the Las Vegas shooting. There were people that still pulled out their phones and managed to film, and he's right. There was a lot of it.
Exactly. Even during the bullets.
Right. Exactly.
So come on, dude. Like there's no bullets and they're all like, to me, the only way that really happens where Carnal Nature said panic is if it really was aliens or something.
Which would explain why the security cameras were down.
Right. No, all of it would be explained. If it was like, because then, or not explained, but it would be a little more understood because frequencies, who knows what the multitude of things that could have been at that point. But I do believe something happened. Something just didn't glitch in there and then everybody ran. Too many people would be pulling out a camera. I would be making sure that people weren't tripping on each other and getting out. I'm not the type that gets scared in a situation real quick.
Even if you were afraid and ran, you would do like many people did in Vegas. They found a place that they were felt secure, but then they were still filming from that spot.
Right. So
So
what
you could
happened
see
to
somebody,
everybody's phone
right?
footage?
You could see somebody at the mall that would duck behind something or whatever to hide, but still film.
Right. So what happened to all the footage?
That's a good guess. I don't know.
Because and what happened to the people who because let's be honest. Miami is like Holly, I know you're familiar with it too. Miami is like like models and all this. Everybody's looking to be famous down in Miami.
Right,
You know what I mean? So I mean, like people are already at the handy with their phone. So it's like something goes down, they're going to pull it out. So what happened to the people that did film who are like, why isn't it on my phone anymore? Like, why aren't they even speaking out?
right. Well, and like Cardinal Nature said, they were likely already filming. But and again, even at this mall, you know how people are always filming or taking selfies, or people are always doing stuff with their phone, even when something bad isn't happening.
Right. Yeah. Carnal Nature said zonal signal blocking, maybe. But then why would there be zonal signal blocking? There would only be that if something was going on.
Right. They don't normally do that
Right.
for
I guess that's what I'm
following
saying.
the
Like, I
mall.
mean, if I go into the Bayside Mall tomorrow, I can go shoot video and walk around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Carnal Nature just said it too. It's hard saying not knowing exactly, but it's annoying not knowing, especially when 60 cop cars were there and whatever Holly said, close to 80, 90 cops,
They said 100.
100 cops. So 100, I mean, 100 police officers there and nobody has a story.
Right. On New Year's Day.
Right. We're a gang of covert 10-year-olds go to battle every year.
Right. And I did see the video where they showed that a big, and I know that, this stuff can be faked, but the big gray creature they showed going back and forth on the, oh, what do you call it? Like there was a big walkway outside, and they showed some big shadowy figure walking back and
Oh
forth.
yeah, kind of next to the building. Yeah. But I mean, what the ones that I saw that were the most intriguing are the ones that I've seen people butcher too, and like make these like lights and the floor melts but really like out of there does seem to be something that everybody's distorted and played with in TikTok or whatever that are like three pretty weird looking lanky creatures. I mean, I think you saw that too, didn't you?
I only saw one that
Oh,
was an
okay. So
obvious,
there's
obvious
three in a
fake.
lot of the videos. There's these three lanky tall creatures that
No, I
appear.
mean I saw just one video that showed
Oh,
three
oh,
creatures,
oh,
but
oh.
the video that I saw was obviously faked.
Right. Yeah. He's saying same in MX Mexico. MX two, right? Similar size and shape, supposedly, right? I'm not sure what we're talking about. Oh, are we talking about? You mean same shape and size of the aliens? And are we talking about Mexico? Because they were eight to. I mean, Holly did this in the intro, and I think she was right. I mean, like, I mean, who knows? Because for what we know, they don't even exist. But yes, they were 8 to 10 feet, lanky, tall, black, shadowy. It wasn't like clear and present alien gray or the normal description of aliens. I mean, some people have described these type aliens, but they were tall, lanky, and like shadow like.
Well, when the YouTubers that I watched went down, um, Omar Gosh TV is one of the guys that I watch. He does paranormal videos, and he went down there and interviewed some of the people that were there, like a homeless guy that is like always around there, knows what's going on. And most of those people were backing the alien story.
Yeah.
So that just makes me be like, well, I don't know. Just seems like the people that have some credibility were kind of backing that there was something paranormal going on.
I honestly, I mean, if I had to sit here and I mean, none of us know, but if I had to say what happened, I would say I don't know, but I would say this. I don't believe the cop's story, and I think something beyond the norm happened. I think something not just I don't think somebody broke a china dish. I think something very weird happened in that mall.
Yeah, I think it was beyond a fight.
Yeah, I don't think it, I mean, like he's saying, carnal nature saying interdimensional beings, maybe. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm saying something along that line. Like I can't exactly say what. I wasn't there. Everything like always, everything's destroyed, or oops, our video cameras weren't on for that 5 minutes it happened. Crazy. Like, come on, dude.
Right. Well, and the only thing that does explain that explains why no one has footage, is that it's something paranormal that can control things like that because it's all energy.
Did you see Carnal Nature's comment? Because he's talking about CERN, which you were just telling me about with that show Evil.
Yeah. That was so crazy.
But did you see this? Did you see his comment?
Between CERN and Fermilabs. Right. Yeah, I agree.
Right. And for those listening to the podcast, he's one of our listeners, and we do this live every Tuesday, you guys. It does drop on Wednesday, but we do it live every Tuesday. He's saying that it was something out of Stranger Things kind of thing, and like the upside down, I guess, is what he's referring to. I remember watching all those with my son, and yeah, I mean, maybe, who knows? I mean, it does seem like something like that. Um, I mean, who knows? Maybe it was a rift in the time space continuum. Who knows? I'm just saying something happened there. 60 cops don't appear, and I keep saying this about Miami-Dade because when I was down there for a short time and living down there, it's a rough city. It can be a rough city. They definitely do not dispatch all the police to one spot. They do not do that.
Mm-mm.
I have seen things break out I've seen things on the beach, on Miami Beach break out there where I'm like, whoa, like at festivals and stuff that are like out of control fighting. 50, 60, 70 people. And there's like 4 police cars. But there's 60 at the mall.
I know. It makes no sense.
It doesn't only not make sense. There's something being lied about there. I'm just
I'm actually a little surprised that they have kind of let this go, and everybody's just kind of dropped it and walked away from it at this point instead of pushing it and trying maybe to talk to other people that were there or something. But I don't know. It's almost like it's been very controlled.
yeah. I mean, I was telling somebody, maybe it was even you. I mean, I don't think it was you. Somebody, maybe it was another person in Florida, though.
You
I was
talk to other
asking them.
people besides me?
Well, I was asking somebody about in Florida though about the bath salts from, I can't remember when it was, 2005,
I remember.
8, 10, something like that. I don't know.
And
And
the guy the
they're
other
like,
guy's
what are you
face off.
talking about? And I'm like, you don't remember? Like, they've lived there their whole lives. And I was like, what are you talking? What am I talking about? I'm like, this isn't a conspiracy theory. This really happened. People were
Yeah,
smoking or taking bath salts, and they were eating people's faces.
he sure did too.
But there was more than one.
Well, there was one that was like the worst.
Right, but there was one that jumped into somebody's car. There was one that was eating a sleeping homeless person's face.
Oh my gosh, yeah. There were video of that.
Of multiple people doing it though. I'm saying, like, and so I mean, what do you mean? Like, again, there's a story that's real that was buried. You know what I mean? Because here I am talking to a person that's my age who's lived in Florida their whole life, and they're like, I've never heard of that. I'm like, what?
What
I'm
year
like, I
was
don't
that?
live
Do you
there.
remember?
You live there, and it happened.
Do you remember what year that was?
No.
Hold on, I'm gonna look it up.
I mean, if I had to guess, I'm going to say early mid 2000.
Because I want to say it was before I moved here. Oh, it was the year I moved here, actually. Um, 2012.
Okay, so 12 years ago.
It was in Miami.
Right.
Miami face eating attack, it says on the news.
Right, but if you look that up, bath salt face eating, you'll find all kinds of videos of multiple people. It's not just one guy at
Right.
all. That's
Yeah, this is the one about the homeless guy, the victim.
yeah, I mean, and that guy didn't even wake up. Like how disturbing is that? I know that people get drunk and pass out or heat exhaustion, but dude, your face is being eaten.
Oh, surely he woke up.
The cops have there is, I don't know if you've ever looked it up on YouTube. It's one of those videos that gets pulled down a lot, but somebody else repopulates it. So it's kind of it's almost like if you go go look on YouTube for it, you'll find like 30 versions of it now because people are always populating it. And so I think they've even stopped pulling it down. But there is a video where you're watching this guy who's laying in a parking lot, and he's laying on the level underneath the top level where so it's shaded where he is. And there's
Yes.
a dude crouching over him, eating his face, and he's not moving.
I did see that video.
And when the police got to him, he was alive.
Did he end up dying? I guess he did.
I don't know, but my point is, like, dude, why aren't you even moving? You know what I mean?
You tackle.
Like, I mean, seriously, like that was one of the, I think that was one of the most like unbearable things for me to watch.
This article just says that he is in critical condition and fighting for his life. So I don't know if he ended up dying after that or not. This article is before that.
Electric universe theory. Yeah. I mean, so I don't know. It's to me, it's a little, I just I don't buy the police's story. And again, part of the reason I don't buy the police's story is because it came out 5 days later. You know what I mean? Like, why isn't the police story out the next day? It always is. Don't you agree?
I do.
Like, I mean, newspapers don't go, you know what, guys, get your story together and we'll come see you in 5 days.
Yeah, that's what I don't know. I didn't even look at that at the timeline to see how soon.
I mean, because the stories that came out a day or two after were not the laugh. Oh, we're the police chief. Oh, that's a laugh. Aliens. But the first ones were like, I don't know. We were all just, everybody seemed confused and nobody was keeping up with
That
the
is
story.
true. I do remember that now that people were, even the police were like, yeah, we're not sure what happened. And
then they were all like told to laugh about it. No, just laugh at that.
Well, and there was the one cop, and the people kind of were taking apart what he said, because he said, well, there's no aliens at the mall at this moment. At the moment. And so people were like, at the moment. He had to add that on at the end. At the moment. Well, yeah, at the moment there's not, but was there yesterday?
Right. Yeah. And so, and yeah, I mean, here's Carnal Natures saying, you know, was there a large crowd fight at the mall? I mean, there's theories of that, and I've seen pictures of what I call 20, 25 people. But again, I'll put it into perspective. I've done a lot of production work, all kinds of places. I've lived in Miami. I have seen fights break out at big festivals on the beach that are huge. And, you know, it starts off with 4 cop cars, maybe 5 or 6 by the end. And they're breaking it up with tear gas and other things. Done. They don't need more cop cars than that.
Yeah, I've never seen 60.
But 60 cop cars stopping on Biscayne Boulevard, and I mean everywhere. You couldn't move a car on either side of the highway or the road that's like 3 lanes going both ways. They wouldn't let you within a half a mile of the mall.
No. And yeah,
I mean, because of sirens, you couldn't have even done it. I'm saying that the cop cars were everywhere.
That's when it really hit me how big this was when they showed that aerial shot of all the police cars, and I was like, wow, that was just like blew my mind.
Right, because I'm telling you, that's more than a school shooting. Like, and I'm telling you, here in Denver, we're pretty used to shootings. You know, like we're sadly we're like I know that they've happened elsewhere too, but sadly all too many school shootings happen here. So the police are very trained to get over there in just a second and bam, be on site and be everywhere. And even that kind of presence isn't 60 cars.
Right. Hey, just to answer Cardinal Nature's question, the electric universe theory I am not familiar with. I just Googled it, so I will read a little bit more about that. I have not heard of that. Have you, Steve?
What?
The electric universe theory?
No,
Asking
I'm
if
not
you're the one
familiar with it. I was reading his next comment that says, "Has the X Files commented on the incident?" I'm not really sure what is the X Files. Is that a joke or I'm just kidding?
He said, just kidding.
I was wondering if that was like some kind of podcast or what that was. Um, Thunder. Yeah, see, that's the other thing is he's now you're talking about thunderbolts projected on YouTube. That's what I was seeing on TikTok too, was like a sun opening the ground. I'm like, come on, guys, quit playing with the effects and let's try and get to this real footage. Like, because I do believe there's a balance here too. I don't believe, like like, but something happened. If that
No,
many people
Thunderbolts
ran out of the
Project.
mall scared on that level, something happened.
Thunderbolts Project is the name of a channel on YouTube.
Okay.
I think he was telling you to check that out.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what the
Okay.
information is about the. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff on there. I'm looking it up
Oh,
right now.
okay. 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 Oh, and it focuses on EU theory. So, okay.
I just found it.
Thank
So.
you. Thank you for that. I'll take a
Right? So I
screenshot so I don't forget. Um, but yeah, I mean, I just don't believe it. I don't believe it for 1 second. I do not believe the police's story, and I don't know. I mean, short of like, believe it or not, guys, if you don't know this, I asked Holly this way back in the beginning of us starting this, and she had not ever seen the movie. I don't know if she still has, but she has not seen Men in Black.
No,
Um,
I've seen that.
oh,
I
you
just said
have?
I don't recall
Oh, okay.
movies like
Okay.
those people. I
But
don't
but I
remember.
was
Well, I
like,
feel
but
like
I was thinking short of that, like, that thing that like erases your memory, like, hey, look into the beam and like you don't remember anything.
right.
Short of that, I don't see how this even happened.
Yeah, I don't
Unless
know.
somehow you erased everybody's memory who was there, and then still people would have said, "Hey, were you at Bayside last night?"
Right, like why aren't those people coming out and like talking more? But I will say that I did see one thing today that was interesting. That the very first guy, supposedly he's the first guy, that came out and said there were aliens and stuff. I guess 24 hours later, he came out with a second video that said that he was just kidding and that, man, you people are naive and ha ha ha, I was just trolling, is what he
Yeah,
called it.
yeah. But of course, there's going to be those people. Of course, there's going to be the hardcore other way people. I just want to know the truth, or I just want to know. I would love to talk to somebody who was there, but obviously, they wouldn't have anything to say. That's why I'm like, okay, short of like mind erasing, like like again, I would go to the fact, like, if I knew that it was New Year's Day and I was watching a football game and I knew that you were going to Bayside Mall and we lived in Miami, right? And then I knew that, and I'd call you and go, "Hey, Holly, what happened at the mall last night?" And you're like, "I don't know. No, it was weird. There were just 60 cop cars there and 90 cops, and
Yeah.
I don't know."
And people running, but we didn't see
Like,
anything.
but I'd be like, "Holly, you were there. What happened? I don't know." Like, how is there just hundreds of people? Because again, we're not talking about we're not talking about down in Gator country where there was like one person. We're talking about a mall. Like,
Hey, did you see the movie Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind with Jim Carrey?
yeah.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
my God, that is like one of my very favorite movies. I love that movie. But anyway, when you said making their memory disappear, that just reminded me of that. So
Well, because
it
that's
has
because
nothing
that's
to
all
do
I can come up with. That's literally all I can come up with. Somehow an electromagnetic erased all the phones, and everybody forgot what they were doing at the mall, which would have made finding your car later a real pain in the butt.
Yeah. Can you imagine trying to get out of the parking lot?
My guess is that you couldn't move a car for days.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Do you know what I mean? Like even once they were done talking to you, my guess is because I know Bayside has that. I don't know if you're familiar with it, Holly, but Bayside has a parking lot adjacent to it, like a
I'm not
garage.
familiar with it. I haven't been there.
It has like a parking garage adjacent to it. I'm sure they locked that thing down and did not let any cars leave. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
See, now that I would believe. Carnal nature just said maybe it was a sinkhole inside the mall and they blew it out of proportions. Maybe it, yeah, exactly. Because that I would believe people running from a sinkhole.
I tell you what, those sinkholes down here are scary.
Right. But again, what it just middle of the, and again, everybody or the recollections of people that do counter the narrative that the police put out there is that there were shadowy creatures or figures. So even if it was a sinkhole, there was something else going on there too.
Well, it wasn't a sinkhole because the hole would still be there. I mean, the sinkhole.
And why wouldn't the police just say that if that was the case?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Have you
oh my
seen the
gosh, there was
pictures
some
though?
construction issue, and I don't know.
Have you seen the pictures where there's a sinkhole and the house is just like gone?
Yeah,
Terrifying.
I saw one, and I actually saw one that was from North Dakota, where the guy, his car was like his car had gone down a I don't know why this is funny to me. It's not funny, but like out front of his house, his car was gone. And when he went to look, there was a sinkhole, and his car was on a street under the street. It had fallen down through the road, through a sinkhole, but there was another road underneath it. And this wasn't even conspiracy. This was just like, and then there was something about the town where they had built these roads and it was all screwed up. So they built roads on top of them. And
Oh wow.
so I'm trying to read this. I saw a video of one happening in a mall and the second story collapsed too. I think there were people killed in that too. I don't think there were people killed in this one,
In which one?
in the Miami thing.
No, I
Nobody
think
died.
he's
Nobody
talking about.
died. Right, right,
No,
right.
he's talking about sinkholes. I think.
Right, right. But I'm saying that here there wasn't even anybody dead. But again, 60 cops or 100 cops, 60 cop cars, that's all of Miami-Dade's police force. They're all there. I
Yeah,
mean, that's
they said they
30,
called them
30
all.
cop cars still, let's say 30 cop cars still leaves 40 on the road. Even a cop shooting doesn't get every cop.
Well, if I'm a police officer and I show up and I see there's already 20 cars there, I'm like, I'll catch you guys later. You got it handled. So why did 60 cars even stay?
Yeah. I mean, again, hooligans, is that the theory? Well, the hooligans come out every January 1st and fight. Again, I would go to Holly's point of, well, then put a police officer at the mall if you know that,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. Well, like he just said, as far as we know, as far as we were told, nobody died. Right. I
Right.
mean, since we haven't been told the truth about any of it, who knows?
Yeah. But I guess, I guess another thing is that there's hotels all around there. And there, I mean, you can go even find the people from their balconies who were shooting all the cop cars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like those videos are everywhere. Like what you were talking about, like aerial. Well, there's ones of like 15 floors up at the Hotel International right down the street, a block down.
Well, one of the ones that
And
I watched today was an actual news stations right across the street that shot video.
right. So I mean, like, this is a no joke scenario. If you were just to watch this without volume, you'd be like, what happened here? Did like everybody get shot?
Yeah, was there a bomb or something? I
I
mean,
mean,
what?
that's what
Yeah,
it looks like a bomb had gone off, or even that. I would be like, that's a lot of cops.
right. Or like a bomb threat or something. You would expect, a big presence, but I don't know. I
Right.
haven't seen anything like it.
Right. I mean, I would expect something along the lines of like when the Twin Towers fell. I know that it was impossible to get to ground zero, but honestly, like that's the kind of event it would take to bring this many cops.
Well, that is a good comparison because that is about the only time I guess I have seen. I can have to take that back because that would be about the only other time I've seen this many respond. And now,
Right. And at the Twin Towers, it was really tough to tell because you had to run in by foot to get to ground zero.
right, but you knew.
Right. You knew. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the city was encased in smoke. And I mean, like, but you didn't see it like in this one. You didn't see like all these cops like that. You know?
Uh-uh.
So he says we have that many at the Atlanta airport all the time. That many what?
Cop cars?
Oh, no. So here's what I just saw his comment above. He's saying maybe they were using the mall to provide staging for a large group of human being trafficked. Well, he is saying cops. I don't know. Again, who knows? But my point is that I don't buy the stories that came out 5 days later. And I think the police, I will say this. I think the police know some. I think at least some police know some things. And their story is, well, just laugh out loud. Okay. Aliens. Oh, no.
I know. I really wish that we knew somebody that was on the police department down there.
Why? They still wouldn't tell us anything.
Well, if they were your friend, they would. Like a good friend. I don't mean like
They'd go missing. That's the worst thing that can the worst thing you can do in this country is talk about something because then you go missing.
That is true.
I don't know. I no matter what, even if people would go missing, I just find it impossible to believe. And again, we're talking about a mall. A mall. Come on. At a mall, nobody thought, all right, let's videotape this. Hey, let's tell this story. Hey, let's do this. Really? Come on, dude. So,
well, unfortunately, I just think to accept the fact that it's one of those things in life that we're never going to know.
well, do you want to walk us out of this episode and about next week, and then we can hang around for a bit?
Sure. But if anybody else has any wonderful theories, we would love to hear them, by the way. And
or on the face eating too.
Leave us comments. Yeah, we might have to do an episode about bath salts. Anyway, okay. Thanks for joining us this week on the Rabbit Hole Vibrations podcast. If you enjoyed our content, please consider following the podcast. Leave us a comment and let us know what your theories are or other ideas that you have for the podcast. Next week, join us as we go a different direction and discuss the chilling phenomenon of the black-eyed children.